Russian President Vladimir Putin says his country is now ready to negotiate with all parties involved in the war in Ukraine. Putin told Russian state TV that Russia is ready to negotiate what he calls acceptable solutions, but he said that Ukraine and its Western backers are the ones refusing to come to the table. Joining us now is Mark Savchuk, a member of the Ukrainian Volunteer Journalist Initiative. Mark, it's good to have you with us again. Thanks for making some time.
Thank you.
Putin's statement that Russia is ready to negotiate, I mean, from what you can tell, how seriously is this being taken?
Obviously not at all, because we know that every single time Putin says that he wants to negotiate, actually he's piling up weapons, training people, and getting ready for another round of military fighting, which is, for Ukraine, this is very obvious now. You don't need to listen to what he says. You need to look at what he does. And what he did recently is visit all major military factories and said, literally, the money is not an issue. I'm paraphrasing, by the way. So the fact that they are recruiting, dozens of thousands of people, they are mobilizing, they are training soldiers, not just in Russia, but also in Belarus as well, because they don't have enough bases to train that many people, says that Russia is ready up for war. And this is actually what General Zaluzhny said in his recent interview with the Western journalist. He said that Russia is preparing an army of 200,000 people for future attacks on Ukraine. So obviously, we do not listen to whatever Putin says. We know that his aim to conquer Ukraine is still strong, and they are pursuing everything they can in order to achieve that goal.
So it sounds to me then like it's a case of actions speak louder than words, the old phrase. And so any comments from Putin are not going to be a baseline for any sort of meaningful dialogue going forward. What would be a meaningful baseline? Is there any way of telling?
Of course. I mean, again, you just look at what they do. So if, for example, Putin wants to negotiate, he would retreat his forces. He can't do this, obviously, because he promised his people that he will conquer Ukraine in a matter of days or weeks. And now he sort of trapped himself in this war. He can't really back down from it. But what Ukraine is saying is that, look, guys, Russia right now is an absolute military dictatorship. Putin can do whatever he wants, especially people in Russia just want to be left alone. About 20% of Russia is very aggressively into the war. That's why you don't see any uprisings or big meetings to contradict the mobilization, because actually a lot of the people support this war. But actually, he can force whatever decisions he wants. As with mobilization, he's just said, like, let's go, and people went to war. So if they are serious about negotiations, they would just leave Ukraine, and then we would start talking.
So if those are empty words, Mark, is there anything at all on the diplomatic front that could move the needle here? I mean, I know what you're saying about, Russia needs to stop the military activity. Is there anything else that can change the environment?
You see, the thing is, once the war has started, it sort of it erased all the diplomatic and any kind of diplomacy that we had since 2014. So people of Ukraine right now are suffering and sacrificing a huge amount. And we do this because we know what at stake. We're not just defending ourselves. We have an absolute aim to retake all the land that is currently occupied by Russia. And we see absolutely no reason to stop. This is our land. Our people are there. They are currently held hostage by the Russians. Thousands and thousands of Ukrainian kids have been deported to Russia, and they're currently being brainwashed by Russian propaganda saying that Ukrainians are Nazis. We really honestly think that to start talking about peace is not only betraying these people, but is also the most stupid thing to do. Because what Russia will do is use the time of peace negotiations in order to prepare for the next round of fighting. Simply put, because Putin is absolutely focused on one thing only, to capture all of Ukraine. that is what we see he's doing. So he's spending billions and billions of dollars. I think the next year's budget for the military is $100 billion, which put it awfully close to the second point in the world, to second country in the world in terms of military spending. And they have already mobilized 300,000 people and they still continue mobilizing. So, of course, Ukraine sees all that, and the only correct path forward is to continue fighting and destroying Russian military, because destruction of Russian military equals to long-lasting peace with Ukraine.
As always, as we cover this story, we appreciate your perspective, Mark. Mark Savchuk, member of the Ukrainian Volunteer Journalist Initiative, thank you for taking some time for us.
Thank you.